Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 6 and we'll present about Web App Design. Okay, before we dive into the details of the topic, we must know what is Web App. Web App or Web Application Design is an important stage when building web app application where it focuses on the look and feel of the web application. In simpler words, Web App is similar to mobile app and app at the desktop, but the difference is web app in a web or internet. Okay, before we design the web app, we have to know web app design quality. So, what makes a good web app? There are 5 qualities that make a good web app. Firstly, efficiency, where the web app must load faster because user want everything fast. Next, maintainability, where the web app is made easy for any correction if there is any bugs. Moreover, usability, where the web app can be used globally, which is everyone can understand the language. Furthermore, functionality, where the web app has the feature of navigation and browsing for ease the user. Lastly, reliability, where the web app has error recovery to avoid any bugs occur. Okay, next, we will talk about web app design goals. Okay, there are several goals which are simplicity, where the web app is designed as simple as possible to ease the user. Moreover, the web app must have consistency in its design. Next, the web app must have its own identity. Other design goals is robustness, where the developer need to create a robust web app. Furthermore, navigability, where the web app is easy to browse. Other than that, visual appeal, where the design of the web app need to be nice and attractive. Last but not least, compatibility, where the web app can use in multiple platforms such as Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge.
So I'm going to present about the design pyramid for web apps. As you can see on your left, that is the design pyramid, and at the top you can see the user, where it is the closest to communicate with the interface design, while at the bottom is the technology, where it is the closest one to communicate with the component design. So the user is the person who will communicate with the web app, while the technology is the equipment to implement the web apps. The creation of an effective design will typically require a diverse set of skills, where sometimes you need multi-skilled people to make a definite design. Each level represents a design action, and the appropriate mix of a design may vary depends on the web apps. So let's go on with the first design, which is the interface design. So the interface design is the process designer used to build interfaces for the web apps, focusing on looks or style which users find easy to use and pleasurable. So this is the 3 questions that you need to ask yourself when making an interface design. The first one is, where am I? You need to establish a consistent window into the content and functionality provided by the interface. You need to provide an indication of the web app that has been accessed and inform the user the location of the content hierarchy. The second one is the what can I do? You need to guide the user through a series of interaction with the web apps, where the interface should help the user understand what is his coded option. So the third question is, where have I been and where am I going? You need to organize the navigation option and content available to the user, where you need to provide a map or a navigation to the user, where you need to indicate where the user has been and the path that he may be taken to move elsewhere within the web apps.
Aesthetic design. Aesthetic design refers to the visual appearance of the web app. It is the artistic aspect which complements the technicality of the web app. Aesthetic design is an important ingredient in enhancing user experience design and interaction design. It is to ensure the web app looks appealing to the users, because people are quickly evaluate a web app by the visual design alone. Next, the graphic design ensures an aesthetic web app, starting with the layout, then choosing the right color scheme that looks appealing to the user or demanded by the stakeholders. Now, next is choosing the suitable font type, size, weight, and style. For example, the name of the web app commonly has big font size in order to ensure users remember the name of the web app. Then, the use of media such as audio, animation, 3D model animation, and much more. This will make the web app look less static and look more interesting. Lastly is to add other aesthetic elements. However, the layout of the web app should not be overcrowded with too much elements and information, which will bring difficulties for users to identify needed information. A good layout design should have less scrolling, where it is recommended to insert only necessary content on a single web page and only emphasize on the content if possible. Lastly, the layout elements should be organized from top left to bottom right, like reading a book. For example, higher priority elements should be placed at the upper left portion or the upper mid portion of a web page. Next, as you can see, these are examples of modern aesthetic web app design which are available in the internet today.
Okay, content design divided into two different design task parts, which is the first one is to design content object and the transition process from one to another content object and providing the information in the specific content object. Okay, what is content object? Okay, content object is basically the information of the object for the conventional software. For example, if you look at the picture below, there, where to it, the PNG or the where to it contains the vertical dimension and the horizontal dimension. That is called the attributes that include the information of the design. Okay, what the content design issues is basically the information for each content object must be designed to meet the client's need. Therefore, accurate information from the client is needed. So, another issue about content design is if there are a large number of content objects inside a single page, it takes longer time period for the web app to load. Okay, this is the example class diagram. As you can see, class diagram with the purple color is the example of information contained within the content object stated the attribute. Okay, for example, the marketing description, we have the text color, we have the font style, font size, line spacing, and text usage size, background color, and so on and so on. That kind of attribute is information that's required to design a content object. Okay, for the next one is architecture design. Okay, the web app architecture refers to the structure that enabling the web-based application to achieve the business objective, depending on your clients. Okay, the web app should be built in layers. It is purposely to separate the interface, navigation, and the application behavior. So basically, there are few separate layers in architecture design. Web app architecture design. You can see the users, the front end, the back end. That is example of layers in the architecture. Okay, in order to build the architecture of the web app, we need to get the user story from your client. For example, for the question here, what is you going to be doing, how you are going to implement the business requirement, how to make the servers being arranged well, where the data are going to be stored, which components are going to be needing. That's an example of the question that you can build user story from your client. Okay.
So now we're going to talk about navigation design. So after the components and the functionalities of the architecture have been built, a navigation is required for the user to be able to access the functionalities and the components of the website. To accomplish this, two steps are required. Number one, identify the semantics of the navigation for different users of the site, and the second one is we have to define the syntax of achieving the navigation. In navigation semantics, it considers two things: user hierarchy and use cases related to each user, as each actor may use the web app differently, which may lead to different navigation requirements. Each user, when they interact with the web app, they can encounter a series of navigation semantics units which is called NSUs. What does this NSUs means? NSUs means it is a set of information and navigation structures that collaborate to fulfill a subset of related user requirements. Usually, these NSUs are composed by several sets of WAN. What is WAN? WAN is ways of navigations. It shows the best navigation pathway to reach a navigational goal for a specific type of user. Usually, these ways of navigation consist of navigation nodes, which are connected by navigational links. For example, this use case diagram that is translated into a navigation nodes connected by navigational links. So, for the navigation design, after the design has been proceeded, the methods or mechanics of navigation should be defined. So some websites use several navigation options to implement each NSU. So what are the navigation options? One of them are individual navigation links, horizontal or vertical navigation bars, tabs, and access to a complete site map. during designing the navigation syntax, the navigation design should also be user-friendly and noticeable to the user. So there are several design conventions that has been used. The first one, for icons and graphical links, we have to make them visually clickable with bevel edges. Second, for text-based links, we have to make them unique colors. For example, usually they use blue and with underline, right? And when the user have already clicked them, they will change color to show that the link has already been used. And the last one, an audio or visual feedback. So we have to implement an audio or visual feedback to tell the user that the link has been clicked. For example, a sound of a bell like ding. Finally, component level design. As modern web apps deliver increasingly sophisticated processing functions that perform localized processing to generate content and navigation capability in dynamic fashion, provide computation or data processing capabilities that are appropriate for the web app's business domain, provide sophisticated database query and access, and finally, establish data interfaces with external corporate systems. How do you want to achieve this? To achieve this, the program components needs to be designed and constructed similar to the software components of the traditional software. With that, we have reached the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for watching our presentation.